Hello and welcome back to the AL Center Rundown. I'm Eric, and with me today is Lee, Dan, and Sam. This is the second episode we've dropped in 2 weeks. For those who have maybe not gotten through our near 2 hour, well, it was over 2 hour episode where Dan and I did the midseason review over the Twins and the Guardians. We spent an hour apiece. Um, Going over the team. So go listen to that if you are a Twins or a Guardians fan. But I think today we're going to get two more teams, and then sometime in the middle of the week, Ty, who is in the process of moving, we'll do the White Sox. So we'll do maybe a little bit awkward doing it, probably 70% of the way into the season, but we're going to get these out. These are long episodes, and every team deserves to have attention brought on them. So with that said, let's look at the stats and the standings. Not that much has changed in the 2 days. The White Sox now have sole possession of the American League Central with a 52 and 46 record. They're one game up on the Guardians. The Guardians 52 and 48. The Twins have lost two in a row to Chicago, lost the series. Detroit is making a run at it. They're still 6 games under 500. And then the Royals, with their loss today, have now sunk to 20 games below the 500 mark. Because it is past the All-Star game, we should probably start keeping tabs in a real way for the wild card. Right now, the three wild card teams are the Yankees, the Guardians, and the Red Sox. The Guardians hold the second place spot, the second wild card spot. They're a game up on the Red Sox. The Twins are 2 games back, the Tigers are 4 games back, and the Royals are, well, above the Angels. So that's at least something. For hitting in the American
Trust
League.
me, it isn't.
I was trying to give you something, Sam. I'm sorry. The runs for the American League, the Twins still are the number one offense for runs in the American League, followed by the White Sox, who are 10 behind. The Royals are ninth, Tigers 10th, and the Guardians are now dead last in the American League, but still lead the division because... Oh, and I didn't even have that. Oh, this isn't the American League. The Guardians have the best... Ooh, wait a minute. Sorry, my computer's doing weird things. The Tigers have are third in the American League in ERA. The Guardians fourth or fifth. White Sox seventh. The Twins 12th, and the Royals are 14th. Baseball just came back. There's been just one series. At the end of the episode, we do have 2 series to predict. They're actually 2 4-game series. The Twins and the Guardians play this week, and then the Royals and Tigers play the last half of the week. With that said, I'm not destined long for this episode. My wife and my daughter are going to be traveling out of country, and we need to kind of get them ready for that. So I'm going to be sitting off camera, kind of doing some packing and just taking care of the baby. So I'm going to hand this off to Lee and probably just run some screens. So all of you get a day off from me. So with that said, I hand it off to you, Lee. Goodbye, everyone.
All right. So, Tigers, going into the season, let's talk a little bit about expectations, because in terms of where we thought this team would be and where they actually are, Tigers are probably the most out of there besides the Royals in this division, right? Get my screen up. So I have a couple of slides here. So going into this season, these are the expectations that I had plotted out for the Tigers. I said they should have an improved record from last year. They are on pace for 74 wins, which is not more than last year. I said they should win the division. They are 4th place. I think this has been updated, but they're 6 games back. I said they should make a deep playoff run. They are 4 games back of a wild card position. I said they should solidify many position battles. Maybe you can kind of throw up your hands and say, I don't know what this team is doing, because that's how a lot of these players look. The position player-wise is a lot of haves and have-nots in terms of, like, how they're doing. We got Riley Green, we got Dylan Dingler, and Kevin McGonigal. And everyone else is kind of just bad to mid. And so it doesn't really help you when you're like, I want to figure out who's going to be playing third base for the next few years, or right field, or center field. I don't know. We don't have an answer. And elephant in the room, part of the reason that the Tigers have been so disappointing is that they have been a million injuries, right? I mean, lots of teams have had lots of injuries, but they still have 12 players on the injured list right now. At one point, they had like 16, and looking all of the main guys, mostly like in terms of our starters. I went on Baseball Reference for last season, and you can see that the top 12 players by WAR during that season, and it made a little. This is what happened to them, essentially. Scooble missed 6 weeks. I mean, he's still doing good, but he missed 6 weeks. Dylan Dinkler's been great. We got that. Gleyber Torres has missed half the season. He's currently rehabbing right now, and he's looking good, but that doesn't help. He still played like 45 games. McKinstry was injured for a little bit, and he also just kind of sucks now. Torkelson just sucks. Riley Green has been great. He's improved a lot. Javi died back in like April. We haven't seen him. He's apparently working on like going into baseball activities or whatever, but no word on exactly when he's coming back. Carpenter missed 3 weeks. Reese Olson died before the season even started. He's not going to make an appearance until next season. Casey Mize has missed a month plus, and he was taken out of today's game because he took a ground ball 108 off the bat to the hand. Keith has been fine. No complaints there. And Will Vest broke his elbow. He's now on the 60-day IL. No word on when he's going to return. So you can say that they've been underachieving, which is true, but there also have been a lot of injuries to a lot of important players. Like, say what you want about Javi Baez, but he was very important last season, especially in the front half of the season and in the playoffs. And without him, we don't have a good defensive center fielder because Parker Meadows also just died, and no word on when he's going to be back. So, yeah. Any thoughts on that before we get into the more player-specific stuff?
I just think it's really illustrative. I really appreciate this slide and you putting it together because it shows, 3 of the top 12 in terms of production last year for the Detroit Tigers have, at least in some form or fashion, not been able to meet expectations, and that isn't always in their hands. A few of them, it's just been regression or a lack of ability to perform, but it's just very striking, and it's a very good way of summarizing kind of the difference between some highs last year and some lows this year.
Now, you have under Dylan Dingler's photo, it says Team MVP. Are you just saying that among these guys here?
I'm saying that among all of the Tigers roster. I think he has been the best and most important player on this roster.
Okay.
I mean, that's subjective because some people would say like McGonigal, but I think Dylan Dingler has had more important impact.
I think more than some people would say that.
I
think I would say that.
That's fair. I just think Dingler has had a very important role in terms of he plays catcher and he plays catcher very well. And I think and he's batting like very similar to McGonigal, but slugging more. So they're not that far apart. So like I can see an argument either way. Just me personally, I value catchers very highly. And so I'm not going to argue if you think McGonigal has been more valuable. But
I didn't argue anything.
All right. Yeah. So basically, point is all 9 out of 12 of the best players from last season have either regressed or missed significant amounts of time, which definitely colors how this team has performed. As of this moment, they're currently 46-52. They're currently losing to the Angels, I believe, still 3-1. But it's a fun thing. On Fangraphs, they have what's called the Pythagorean record and also the base runs record, which is 2 different ways of predicting what a team's record should be based on like offense and pitching and all this sorts of stuff. Pythagorean record, they should have 53 wins. And by base runs, they should have 54 wins. That's a difference of +7 and +8, which is the highest in both categories. Of the highest difference in both categories. By record, they should be better because look on the underlines. It's just called the entire team got injured and they sucked in the month of May, and now they're trying to work themselves out of a gigantic hole. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about some
Now,
of the
Lee, here's the thing, though. Here's the problem, is now you're trying to use an ancient Greek philosopher to justify why the Detroit Tigers are bad in 2026.
I mean, it's not entirely wrong because they should be better than their record. They are better than their record. I'm not going to say, yeah, they're the best team in the American League or anything like that. I'm just saying, they should be better.
Here.
Yeah. So I'll get into a little bit into the offense now. Let's see. So here's some stats. They are currently 18th in WRC+. They are 19th in OPS. They are 18th in slug, and they are 25th in batting average. Those are a lot of atrocious stats. But not atrocious, but it's bad. The thing is, they're being heavily weighed down by a disgusting May. Because in the month of May, they're either last or like third last in all of those categories. Since June 1st, they're one of the best teams in baseball because they're like 5th in slug and 8th in OPS and 1st in homers. And this team has been very back and forth bipolar. I've did some interesting looking around, and I don't know how much this means anything. Like, for example, they are 10th in expected WOBA, but they're only 19th in WOBA. And they're 5th in barrel percentage, but they're like mid in hard hit rate. They are 25th in pull percentage, but they're hitting fly balls to the center. They are dead last in ground balls and leading in fly balls. And fly balls is great because you're hitting a lot of home runs, but they're not getting a lot of home runs off those fly balls. Like, they're somewhere in the average in terms of like fly ball, in terms of home run per fly ball. Because they're hitting a bunch of fly balls to dead center in Comerica Park, and that makes for a lot of 410-foot flyouts. And yeah, which isn't exactly helpful. I mean, I don't know how much any of that means anything, but I think it means the quality of contact is not producing results that we should see, or they're not getting good contact, or I don't know. But yeah, let's talk about position players, I guess. I hate to keep talking about McGonigal, but I have to because he has just been ridiculously good. I've talked a lot about him enough, but here's some more fun facts.
Lee, I think you should be talking about Kevin McGonigal as often, as frequently, with as much positivity as you possibly can. You need you cannot talk about this guy enough, in my opinion.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I was talking about him too much because I just keep lavishing on the praise because he deserves it. Because he's been nothing short of absolutely phenomenal. Fun fact, there are 2 Tigers players in the history of the franchise to have 100 hits in under 100 games while being under the age of 22. One of them is Ty Cobb, and the other one is Kevin McGonigal. There are only a few players in franchise history to make an all-star game at age 21 or younger. Some of those players include Al Kaline, Mark Fidrich, and Kevin McGonigal. He is like when we keep saying all these stats about these are records that he is breaking. This is the company he keeps. I'm not saying Kevin McGonigal is the next Al Kaline, but I'm saying he's a very special player. He is currently one of 7 players with more walks than strikeouts. He is in the 99th percentile in chase rate, meaning he does not chase at all. He is 90th percentile in whiff rate, meaning he does not swing and miss a lot. He is 21, and he has one of the best eyes in the game, just in terms of this plate discipline. He's got power. He's just hit another homer today, so that makes 9 on the season. But it's really just his on base, because I think he's 9th in on base percentage in the entire league. at 21. I mean, yeah, he's.
Let me ask you this question, Lee. And you said that you didn't want to say Kevin McGonigal was the next Al Kaline. Who is McGonigal's ceiling? And I'm going to give you a name. But who do you think McGonigal, when you look at maybe players who have played in the last, 10, 15 years, who do you think he has a career that is comparable to?
Some players in the last 10, 15 years.
Just, I mean, players that in the current living memory, I guess.
Gotcha. I don't know if I have a name right off the top of my head because I don't like comparing players in terms of doing, oh, he's definitely this player, and then you fall short of expectations. I don't have a good answer. I feel like you have an answer that you're trying to make me get.
I'm not trying to make you say anything. I'm just, and let me give you the name that I have in mind. Okay. Is he the next Jimmy Rollins?
I could see
Or
it.
Is he better than that?
I don't know. Jimmy Rollins is good. I feel like he could be better because I just feel like in terms of the raw hit tool, it will last longer than Jimmy Rollins. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up.
No, I think he has the potential to be better than Jimmy Rollins. Rollins was a really nice player for a long time, but I think we're talking about elite plate discipline and elite bat-to-ball contact that you wouldn't see that Rollins didn't have. I think those skills are, top-notch.
Eric's pulling up Chase Utley. I feel like that's a good comp because that's the player that Kevin McGonigal purposely modeled his game after. That was his favorite player growing up as a Phillies fan, and I feel like that's probably a pretty good comp. Not in terms of the all the other stuff that Chase Utley gets flack for, which is very fair. But the play hard, bat to ball skills is the main thing that I'm really looking at. Because like I said, he's nearly batting 300, and not a lot of people do that in this game currently. And he's 21. I feel like this is the guy who could win batting titles because he's gonna, he has incredible bat to ball skills. He has a very good eye, plate discipline. That's something that doesn't go away as you age, right? He broke the rookie record for most games where you reach base multiple times before the All-Star break, previously held by Aaron Judge. When we keep saying these are the records,
that's a pretty specific stat, Lee.
It is a pretty specific stat, but the point is he reaches base all the time. He gets on base a ton, and he does it multiple times a game. His first game debuted, he has 4 hits. That's insane. That's what you're looking for, an immediate impact like that in a sport where a lot of guys don't do that. He had very high expectations. There were very high expectations for him going in, and he has somehow met and exceeded them. Defensively, is also, I want to point out defensive because it was kind of a question mark in terms of he planned out to be a second baseman long term, but he could play a decent shortstop. By defensive runs saved, he's 9th at third base and average at shortstop, and he has the potential to get better. He didn't play third until the Arizona Fall League last season, so experience and just time. Again, he's a 5'9", 21-year-old. The fact that he's doing so well and at all is very impressive. Anything else on Kevin?
I think what makes it so hard to find a comp for him is the fact that he's doing this at the shortstop position. So I'm glad you brought up the defensive side of things where he's been an adequate shortstop. And at his age, he has the opportunity to probably get a little bit better even yet. But I think to have somebody of his hitting ability play short, there's at least one other player in this division that is, elite skilled at that role, and we'll get to him in a minute. But I think that's just incredibly challenging to find that level of talent offensively, as well as play shortstop. And so
Hmm.
it really sets him
Would
up.
you like to know, by the way, Dan, Bobby Witt Jr.'s rookie season? Would you like to know what his fielding run value was his rookie
I'd love
year
to
in
know.
2022?
Absolutely.
-8.
Well, there you go. Raw
So,
tools don't
and
necessarily translate right away, do they? So
now he split some time between third and short, similar to what McGonagall has done this season. But you know, that was a hole in his game, and it seems as though I can't identify anything that McGonagall does not do well at this point in time.
Yeah, he's one of the things that really stands out to me is just how baseball IQ, how smart he is. Like if you look like sprint speed, he's average, but he's 99th percentile in base running value because he's just so smart at running the bases. He is one of a few players to have more than 10 stolen bases and no caught stealings. He doesn't steal a ton, but he's still probably the most on this team, and he doesn't get caught doing it either, which is something that I think is underappreciated about his game. Yeah, like you said, there's nothing that he does poorly. There's no hole in his game. He has the potential to keep on, like his power. Like he has 9 homers so far. He's probably going to touch 15 this season. He can keep on going. I don't think he'll. I think he can be like a 20 homer season guy, like maybe 25 at the tops. But like, he's 21. He's just going to keep getting better. Very clear, obvious favorite for Rookie of the Year right now. The only reason it's a conversation is because it needs to be a conversation, because otherwise
he's going to be Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, the only reason,
unless something happens, where he gets hurt or whatever. But no, he's going to be Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a slump or anything like that from him because we kind of already have, and it was like, oh, he's only hitting 220 and slugging 300, but he's still reaching base nearly 400. Yeah. He's going to be Rookie of the Year, and he should be because he's currently on pace for 7.8 WAR season. Do you know how many players have had, as a rookie, more WAR than that in their rookie year?
Mike Trout.
Yep.
Maybe Albert Pujols.
I forget who the other guy is.
Perhaps, yes. That's all the really good rookies that come to mind.
If I remember correctly, it was Mike Trout, some guy from like the 20s or something. I don't remember off the top of my head. Aaron Judge, and then he's like tied with Ichiro.
Oh yes, Ichiro, of course, yes.
Like that's a very good company,
Mm-hmm.
He's a very special player. Like I said, I'm not going to put any types of mantles on him or anything like that, but I am saying he's a very special player, and he is a hitter that has not come out of the Tigers farm system in a very long time. So, it's awesome. Unless you have anything more you want to say about McGonagall, we can talk about some of the other players a little bit. Let's talk about Riley Green just a touch, because I feel like I need to restate some. I mean, going into the season, he's striking out a bajillion times, right? I just want to shout out again, his batting average is 285 this far into the season. He's got 13 homers. He's got an 837 OPS. He's been a very good hitter. He's been a more productive hitter than he was last season. I feel like he gets underappreciated because Tigers fans either overly hate him for no good reason, or he just gets overshadowed by all the other all-star outfielders. He's 25.
I feel like Green often gets overshadowed by the other guys who were in the 2019 draft.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
Right, because not to keep going back to Bobby Wood Jr., but that was the draft where Bobby Wood Jr. was selected, Corbin Carroll, Adley Rushman. Like that's one of those drafts where there were a ton of guys who came out of it. And Riley Green feels like someone where if we were to have that draft again, he would go maybe like 15th in that draft, even though he was, a top 5 selection.
He was like 9th or something, right? Or 8th. No, 5th.
I'm gonna look that up right now. You go ahead, Lee.
It says round one number 5. I see on the Savant there.
Okay, yeah. Green was 5th, but again, that was a draft that featured Rushman, Bobby Witt Jr., Riley Green, C.J. Abrams, Josh Young, Alec Manoa, Corbin Carroll, George Kirby. Like, there's some. Gunnar Henderson was a 2nd-round pick in that draft as well. There's some names in this draft that are pretty significant.
Yeah, if you did a redraft, is he 5th overall? No. But is he top 20, 15? Yeah. Yeah, he's a really good player. I mean, I don't think his future is in left field because he's continued to kind of decline there and he becomes a bit of a noodle arm, unfortunately. But maybe that's something he can improve on. He was able to improve his contact skills when you don't really is supposed to be able to do that. But that's something he could work on potentially. But even if he's just a DH, he's a very good hitter, and I think it goes underappreciated for him. I've talked about Dingler a ton, so I won't really talk about him. I'm going to talk about more some of the disappointing less players. How about that? I feel a little mean saying that, but I feel like I've given the players that should be given their flowers. Talk about the rest of the team outside of those big 3. Kerry Carpenter. So he's a weird case. So because you look at him and you're like, oh, he's a 3 true outcomes. He hits a lot of home runs. I think he's at 14 homers on the season. But he strikes out a ton, like so much, and he does not walk. Yeah, he's at 13 homers. Look, if all you're going to do is hit homers, walk, and strike out, that's fine. You can get around that if you're hitting enough homers. But you cannot get around that if you're only hitting homers and then striking out. It's been very much in bunches. Over the last month, he has a 579 OPS in the last month, which is very bad. If you take out the week where he had 3 homers, it goes down to 300 OPS. That's OPS, not slug. So he's very slumping hard right now, and he just can't stay healthy. He was out for a few weeks because he ran into a wall and sprained his shoulder.
That's a tease for something I'm going to talk about later. Talking about Kerry Carpenter running into a wall. We'll revisit that.
All right. He just has been striking out a ton, and he's popping out a ton, and he's not walking, and he cannot play out the outfield. I mean, I feel like this is a player that you, in the offseason, you're like, let's evaluate where our future holds with him. He's 28. He's a free agent in 3 more seasons. He's currently batting .215. How much longer do you want to have a DH only who only hits against righties? It's kind of one of those things, which sucks because I really like him. That's the thing. With a lot of this team, it's this player sucks and it sucks to watch because I just like all the players on this team because they have a lot of big moments that everyone has in 24 and 25, and especially in the playoffs for Carpenter. But it's just how much longer can you keep watching this? How do you really want to have a DH who's having a 734 OPS and he only can hit righties? Yeah. Anything for him?
It's just so bizarre to me that he's purely a home run hitter. That is definitely part of his game. It's the most effective part of his game, but he doesn't walk. And just those two things put together, don't compute. And that's got to be I hate to say it, it's got to be a failing on his part if he can hit the ball out of the ballpark, that we all know he can, pitchers are going to be careful with him. So he's got to be getting himself out a lot. Like that's the only thing that I can think of. And the chase rates suggest that. Man, if he could just curb that, he has the ability to be an elite power hitter in this league. And he hasn't shown the ability to curb it, and it's really blown up in his face this year, it looks like.
Yeah, I think like last year, kind of saw some of it because in 2024, a lot better numbers, but he only played like half the season. But you kind of think, okay, did pitchers kind of figure out, oh, just throw it outside the zone and he's going to swing and miss? You know, like, he can hit stuff that are outside the zone, and he'll hit stuff that's like, you know, a foot below the plate for a home run. But what you said about kind of a not walking and kind of a failure on his part, there was, okay, the Angels game 2 days ago against the Tigers against the Angels, Hao-Yu Lee comes up to plate with 2 on, 2 out in the ninth, and he gets a double to give the Tigers the lead. Right before that, Kerry Carpenter comes on and pops up on like the second pitch, and it's not a good pitch to hit, and it was really frustrating because 2 on, 1 out. Come on, do something. AJ Hinch said, I don't know if he was supposed to be, but he said, we want him to be swinging at the right pitches, and you want to be able to put him in those spots. I'm really starting to, that made me think, is Hinch not trusting Carpenter a lot? Because I was complaining before about putting in Jahmai Jones for Kerry Carpenter, but I'm like, okay, maybe that's less about Jahmai Jones and more about the fact that he doesn't trust Carpenter because Carpenter is striking out at everything.
All that makes sense. If Hinch's concern is putting up a quality at bat in that situation, I could see why he wouldn't necessarily want Kerry Carpenter up in that situation. That to me, now the problem with that is, and it's the reason why the Tigers' record is what it is, he needs to feel comfortable putting Kerry, like the Tigers' success was partially contingent upon Kerry Carpenter being somebody that could succeed in those situations. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be instrumental to this offense, and that's clearly not been the case.
Yeah. So
feels like a small sample size kind of guy. Because I'm looking at his baseball reference page right now. He has had a 101 OPS plus this year, Carpenter. Now, is that what you're looking from him? Probably not. But that's not horrific. I mean, that'll play for a big league outfielder. I think one of the things for me is he feels like the kind of guy, and sometimes I feel this way about NFL players, is a lot of the older players should just come and play after Thanksgiving. You know, like Travis Kelce for the Chiefs this season. We don't need you weeks 1 through 10. Just come in around Thanksgiving and play the rest of this. Or, you know, Aaron Donald, right, for the Rams. There's talk of him coming back. Just come back after Thanksgiving, buddy. I feel like with Carpenter, he feels like the type of guy where it's like, okay, just come after the All-Star break. Just come after the trade deadline, be around for 2 months, be healthy, hit a bunch of home runs, and help us make a playoff push. And I know that that's not how it works, but he just feels like a guy, because you look at more of his stats. He played his best season was 2024. He played 87 games and put up 18 home runs and a 157 OPS plus. I think maybe he just needs to exist in a small sample size.
I could buy it. Like, it's a stamina thing. Like, he can't play every day for 162 games, or he can't play 3 times.
I think the problem is the Tigers' success is contingent upon Kerry Carpenter playing well for more than from August to September. Like, they needed him to be successful, and part of the reason why they're not is because he's been average at best. And quite frankly, those 13 home runs are doing a lot of propping up that OPS plus. And he's earned that. He's hit the home runs, but that's a lot of bad at bats in between, where even things like runners aren't being moved and stuff. I'm getting into guards volley stuff, and I'm kind of doing it on purpose, but not entirely. But that kind of stuff does matter over 162.
Yeah.
It, the whole,
And I that's a good point about how, if you hit a home run versus not hitting a home run, your OPS is going to look a lot better.
yeah. And the home runs are coming in bunches. Like I said, in the past month, it's like a 579 in OPS. Okay, Matt Wallner.
Don't troll us from behind the scenes like that, Eric.
Yeah, what was I saying? Over the last month, he's had a 579 OPS. You take out a week where he had 3 homers, and it drops to like a 300 OPS. You know, he's currently over his last 20. I mean,
and I think that's kind of what I'm trying to say is like you can't take the 13 home runs away. He did those. Those matter. They were automatic runs. I'm not suggesting they weren't, but like that's 13 events over the course of the season where he did a good thing out of many, many opportunities. It's kind of a silly argument I'm trying to make, but like if you hit a bunch of doubles and singles, that you have to do that more often, and he doesn't do that part. He's just hit the home runs.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, if half the time he's a 150 OPS plus player and the other half he's a 50 OPS plus player, it's what averages out to 100 OPS. You're like,
yes,
he's not a 100 OPS player. Yeah, he's not an average player.
Now, Dan, don't you understand though that this is a 3 true outcomes game that we watch? It's all about walks, and there's no other hits other than home runs. What are you talking about?
He doesn't walk. It's really 2 true outcomes. Like,
well,
in his
there
case.
You go.
So that's actually I stumbled on a good point. If he took his walks, he'd be a more productive player too. But he doesn't. He chases.
It's not like the not walking thing is new. He was doing that last year, but in 2024 he was walking a decent amount. So I think it's like a part of his. Maybe he got too caught up in my job is to hit home runs bit, and so he's trying to hit a home run every single time. And so, but like he could just be that not good at seeing ball out of a hand, you know. So I don't know. I guess my overall point is I don't know what we do with him going forward. We still got 3 more years of team control, but he's 28 and he's not a good right fielder. He's very bad out there. You know, DH who only bats against righties and with 101 OPS plus. How long are you gonna keep that guy? But unless we have anything more on Carpenter we want to talk about, I'm gonna move on to my next player.
His ex-WOBA on curves, sliders, and slurs this year is atrocious. If you want to get him out, throw him a breaking ball, preferably one that breaks out of the zone. That's all I got.
Okay, going on to another outfielder who's also been disappointing, but for weirder reasons, Matt Bierling. So for the last year and a half on the show, I've been hyping up Matt Bierling as like he's a role player. He's like a big energy guy. He's a decent, overall just an average hitter with good defense. Currently this season, he's currently batting .207 with a 589 OPS, which is very bad. His defense has been good, apart from like a couple things I'm not going to complain about because he's been very helpful in center field considering both of our center fielders have died. But the weirder thing is, it looks like I don't know if he's not making good contact or if he's just getting unlucky because his expected stats are way higher than his actual stats. So by expected batting average, he should be hitting .254, which would be a lot better than the .206 he currently is at. Here's the thing. If you look at, so you can go on Savant and you can see like difference in batting average and X batting average and difference in WOBA and X WOBA. He has the second biggest difference in batting average and the 7th in WOBA. It's not going to be on here. You have to like search on another thing, but don't worry about it, Eric. So he's not slugging as much as he should be, and he's not batting as well as he should be. I don't know if he's getting unlucky or if he's just not making good contact. So, because his barrel rate is low, hard hit rate is low, bat speed is low. So I don't know what's going on there. And it's not like he strikes out an atrocious amount. But he doesn't get on base. He's not really walking. But he doesn't strike out. He should be doing better than he is. It's just really weird. I don't know what to make of it. Yeah, it's kind of just been really disappointing because they were really relying on him to be like a solid average player. I mean, he's been good for outfield and defense and stuff, but outside of that, just weird.
Now,
I don't.
When we look at Matt Vierling as a player, is he going to go down as, I don't want to necessarily use this label for him, is he going to go down as a great one-year wonder?
I mean, maybe. I don't know if he had was a 1-year wonder. He had a
Or
couple
maybe
solid years.
two-year wonder?
It might. I mean, he is 29, so we might have already seen the best of him.
Because, I mean, like, his stats this year are bad.
Yeah.
Like, really bad. Like, Salvador Perez 2026 level bad is Matt Vierling this season.
Yeah, it is really bad, and he's definitely a player that in the off season, or maybe even later this season, depending on how other things go. Maybe it's time to move on and against a DFA candidate or a non-tender candidate. It's just really disappointing.
I mean, I hate to speak ill of someone who went to a fellow native Missourian who went to Christian Brothers College high school in St. Louis, Missouri. But those are some tough numbers this year for him.
Yeah, it just sucks because this was one of the guys I was alluding to earlier. We were expecting a lot more. Like, we weren't expecting him to be like an all-star, but like decent average player,
Yeah. By the way, CBC in St. Louis that Matt Vierling went to, same school that Jason Tatum went to. I only know that because I have a friend from college who went to that high school and was there at the same time as Jason Tatum.
There you go.
Just looking at the one thing I see in Vierling's StatCast data that I think is really striking. When he was really good in 2024, his chase rate was 89th percentile. Really good. He was not chasing nearly, he was very good at that. Coming into this year, 34th percentile. That's flipped on its head big time. So, the thing I see in his numbers is he's not driving the ball. He's not hitting extra base hits. Well, he's probably not making as good a contact because his pitch selection is completely changed. I don't know if that has to do, he lost a lot of time to injury. I don't know if physically he's, different now, but it feels related.
Yeah, that's very plausible. I mean, the little bit we saw of him last year wasn't good, but again, it could have been missed spring training with a bunch of time with injury. Yeah. I was really hoping he'd rebound, but it might just be this is just who he is now. We're not going to see the 2024 version of him again, which sucks because I really like the 2024 version of him. Yeah. Let's transition to a little bit less disappointing. I'm going all over the place, so I apologize. I want to talk a little bit about Hal Yulee because I really like what we've seen from him. Now, he came up for a couple months back in end of March to May when Gleyber Torres initially got injured. And he didn't play great. He didn't play a good defense, and his batting wasn't really there. But since he was sent down and then came back up, he has a .314 batting average and an .800 OPS with good second base defense. So it could just be a hot streak. He's been up for a month. Or it could be getting sent down and coming back up. He looks a lot more confident. The savant isn't really pretty for him, but again, he's been up in the league 2.5 months, so not really much to work with there. The one thing I will say is that he is a free swinger. He will swing at everything. He does not walk. But he's very energetic, and I love that about him because it's very fun to watch. But I don't know how good he's going to be long term, but he's 23. He plays a good second, and right now he's playing pretty well. maybe not a long-term second baseman, but like a good backup guy or a platoon option. So I just wanted to shout him out because, yeah, he's been good. He's very fun to watch. You can just take a pitch every once in a while, man. Just you don't have to swing at everything. But again, he's batting .314 since he's come back up. So who am I to say?
Chasing seems like kind of a running theme. I do want to mention just one thing on him is, you mentioned him getting sent back down. Sometimes the players get to the bigs and they try so hard to stay there, and it's like that's all you get consumed with, and that's what you're focused on. And you don't want to get sent back down. Maybe just like the mentally, he got sent down and the world didn't end. He went back
Right.
down, he worked hard, and you know what? They brought him back up. And now it's like, well, if it doesn't work out, I don't need to panic. This team's, it's got its injuries. I'm probably going to be up and down a little bit. I'm just going to go out there, and it's almost like the big scary thing happened and still here and got another opportunity. So it's great that he bounced back like that. I kind of hope he keeps it going. I have a thing. I really like Taiwanese players, since I have a little bit of a romanticism for them from watching during the 2020 pandemic when they were playing. So anytime we can see somebody from that region of the world, I'm rooting for them usually.
Yeah, I mean we got him for half a season of Michael Lorenzen from the Phillies. So great trade. It's worked out very well for us. Yeah. I don't know if he's I don't think he's really a long-term option at second, because I don't think his bat will hold up long-term because he swings at everything. But, could be wrong. He's 23. Yeah,
I think the glove may also not hold up at second, quite frankly. But I think, he could play a little bit everywhere for a team for a few years for sure.
Yeah, he could be a very good. I'm going on way too long. Yeah, good second option. I'll just kind of speed through. I guess the last one I'll talk about. I was going to talk about more, but I don't want it to take too long. Let's talk about torque, because that's kind of a giant issue at the moment. Because going into the season, I said we just need him to be like an everyday MLB player. Right? Last season he had a really good season when he was kind of on kind of on the last urges, right? I don't know what the word is. He was kind of on his last gasp a little bit. He had one more year for torque and be like, okay.
It was a make it or break it season for torque.
Yes, thank you. Those are the words I'm trying to find. But this season, he's back to the same bullshit that he was doing in 24 and 22, and it's very frustrating to watch. You have Cole Keith up today talking about torque here, Eric. So look, he's second in home runs of the team. He had 2 homers just yesterday. But he will also against the Phillies, the Tigers are down by 3. The bases are loaded, there are no outs. And Spencer Torkelson comes up to the plate, and everybody in the stadium knows what's about to happen. And sure enough, he grounds into a double play. He is the king of pop-ups. But again, he's also got, 17 homers on the season? So, he's a very weird player. I don't know what to make of him.
Let me ask you this question, Lee, and I think there's always going to be a bit of an asterisk next to this. How far are we from torque being one of the top 10 or top 5 worst number 1 overall picks of all time?
I think that's a bit of a stretch. He's had a couple of really good seasons.
There are a lot of number 1 picks that don't even make it to the show in baseball. So I have a hard time with that. The fact that he made it and has had a productive couple of years in and of itself is a success, in my opinion.
Maybe in the last 20 years you can make an argument, but ever, no. He's gonna reach 100 career homers this season. He plays every day. He's healthy. He's not like he's riddled with injuries or anything. I think just the issue is you're right. He's a 1-1 overall pick, so he counts a lot of expectations. And one of the things I wrote down is, I mean, I think he deserves to go and play somewhere else where he won't be viscerally hated for not reaching the expectations that were set on him.
That's the next question I'm going to ask you is, what is the % chance that he is a Tiger next season?
I think pretty good at like 60, 75%, because we don't have a lot of great options right away at first. So unless we went and signed someone and then traded Torque, or I feel like he's not bad enough to be a DFA candidate, but like maybe if we traded him and then signed someone, but there's not really.
Would he be non-tendered?
I mean, maybe, but he's going to be making.
This is going to be his final year of ARB coming up. I'm not looking at his contract right now, but this is going to be his 6th season next year. So
I feel like there's a better than not chance he stays, but I'm not counting it out, if that makes sense. Like I said, I think 60% chance he's still here. But yeah. But quite frankly, he deserves to play somewhere else because the hate he gets is very unfair. That's what I think.
Just to fact check something, he's in his 4th year of service this year, so he isn't going to be a free agent quite yet. But it is a good, interesting question about if he could potentially be a non-tender candidate. I'd lean towards a no. He probably would be around. I could see a scenario, Lee, where Torque is the opening day starter at first base for the Tigers next year, but if things aren't working out, some of those catching prospects that are down in the minors that probably don't have a future at catcher because of Dylan Dingler, maybe somebody else is picking up a first baseman with glove at AAA, and depending on how they hit and how Torkelson hits, things could get murky.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this year he's not all for ARB and look to trade him in the offseason. I think that's very.
You'd be trading him at a low point, though.
Yeah. I mean, last year was the time to trade him if you want, but he's coming off a 30 home run season. He was like right now. He's so weird. He has a 726 OPS. He's on track to have 25 homers. Do you really non-tender a guy with 25 homers the season before? Like, it's kind of hard to say, no, I don't want this 30 home run hitter to be on my team anymore when you still got years of team control and you're not paying him that much.
Everything with Torkelson is through the lens of him being a first overall pick.
Yeah.
And when you and to be clear, in sports, your value is determined by where you got drafted, how much do you get paid, and what's your production level on the field. And unfortunately, Torkelson was the number 1 overall pick in the draft. So everything that he does is through that framework.
See, I don't agree with that at all. His home runs don't count for more because he was picked first overall, and his strikeouts don't count for less because he was picked first overall. It doesn't really matter where you get these guys from. With the caveat of larger contracts, people are going to get 1,000 opportunities if you sign them to a $300 million deal. I get that. There's a sunk cost thing going on there. But not in terms of the method in which you acquire someone. I don't agree with that. But we're getting a little off the rails. And
Sure. I mean that from the fan perspective. From the fan perspective of how do we evaluate these guys, it is everything's in context.
No, that makes sense. Okay. I apologize for jumping on you a little bit. Under that, guys, I get what you're going for.
Yeah, a player who underachieves, who was a 4th-round draft pick, is not nearly disliked as much as a player who underachieves, who was a 1st-round draft pick.
Most fans don't know what round somebody was taken in anyway, other than 1-1 or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just briefly talk about 2 more players. Torres, his bat not being here is such a huge difference. Like, in the month of May, the stat was, the Tigers have been whatever since Skubal got injured. Well, guess what? Torres went on the injured list 2 days before Skubal, and he was played every day. He had more of a difference an impact on how the Tigers were performing than Skubal did. I don't like the narrative that Skubal is the only reason this team wins, and that's the narrative that was going around. No, the reason they were losing so much was the offense stunk because Torres wasn't in this lineup every day. I think he has 1.2 WAR, and he's played half the season. We're gonna get him back soon. He's rehabbing in, I believe, Low A Lakeland right now. He had a homer yesterday, so he should be back very soon. I just wanted to shout him out, I guess. And Colt Keith, he's having a really weird season, and I don't know what the Tigers are going to keep doing with him. They're paying him. He doesn't really have a defensive position. It took him until June 11th to hit a home run, and then 2 days later, after that, he has a 3-homer day. Now he's up to 8 homers on the year, after taking 3 months to hit one. He's just a really weird season, and I don't know what to make of it.
A little bit like Tatis.
Yeah, I think he was he and Tatis were the last 2 qualified players to not get a homer, and it was very strange. So, I mean, I don't know what to make of him. I like him. I think he's a good hitter. I think he could be a good hitter, but this team is not using him right, and I don't know what they're going to be doing with him. But that's a separate conversation, I feel. I've gone on a lot about the position players, but I have to talk about the pitching, and I'm not going to talk about the pitching too much. So don't worry if you're here for not Tigers yapping for an hour. So the starters. Pitching has looked really good this year. I thought the pitching was going to be really good this year. I said this rotation is going to be one of the best in baseball. And I was correct on that. It's just been very chaotic. Because aside from Framber Valdez and Keter Montero, everyone has missed starts from injury. Skubal had to get elbow surgery. Mize had a groin issue. Melton missed the first 2.5 months with his elbow thing. Yeah, Flaherty missed a couple weeks. It just goes on and on and on. We had very, very injury-riddled starters. But starters are third in ERA in which leads the American League, by the way. Just the starters. But healthy. I mean, so yeah. I'm not really going to talk about the starters too much because I've kind of yapped about Skubal and all that enough. But I want to talk about 2 players in particular, and we'll start with Troy Melton. He is a baller. He is gutsy. I think he's the future ace of this team. Others would disagree with me, but Tigers fans are enamored with this guy because he has a 1.8 ERA. In his career, he has a 2.24 ERA. He's really only had 3 bad appearances in his entire career. During the postseason, he started an ALDS game, gives up a homer, then nearly gives up another homer, and he's just on the mound grinning the entire time because he loves it. He had, look at his Savant page. That's a ton of red. And he really went under the radar as a prospect. He wasn't really he was never really a top prospect. He was a 4th-round draft pick. And he's just really grown and flourished into something that could be really good. It's his cutter mainly. It is unhittable right now. If you scroll down to the pitch selection stuff. Yeah, his cutter at the moment has 0.83 batting average. Yeah. 149 expected slug on that thing. Now, it could be because it's new and the batters haven't been prepped for it and expecting it. Because he has been throwing it a lot. Because he basically had to stop throwing it last season because it was not working out for him. But he kind of fixed it up and he's throwing it twice as much as he was last year. He's just got really solid stuff. And I really like him. His last start, for instance, really rough start. He was really struggling with his control. 27 pitches in the first inning. He ended up going 5.1 innings with 9 strikeouts. He sticks to it, and I think he's going to be a very good pitcher going forward. Yeah. Anything on
For the Tigers or for someone else?
for the next 5 years? for the Tigers. How about that? Don't
It's
do
interesting. It's interesting to me just with Melton that I mean ERA of 180 is incredible. It's going to be hard to have a FIP that's comparable to that, and he doesn't. It's 387. It's significantly higher, kind of compared to some of his teammates, though. Mize, Skubal, Montero, even. So I'm looking to see, like, does he just do a really good job of inducing weak contact? And the contact is pretty weak. He's 80th percentile X batting average. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's smoke and mirrors. I don't know that he's quite as good as he's performed to this point. But I definitely don't think he's, you know, I think he has the opportunity to be a very strong 1 or 2 starter moving forward for this team, particularly when there might be a gaping hole in one of those roles in the near future, if not both.
One for the fifth. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. His one bad start this season, he gave up 4 solo home runs, and that's going to affect FIP a lot more than it's going to affect ERA. And we're working with a smaller sample size here, so I think that's part of it for the FIP because he hasn't played the entire season. He's played like a month and a half now, so. I mean, he's gone deep into the games as well. Like he pitched into the 8th inning a couple, like once or twice, 7th inning. It's very valuable to have when our bullpen is kind of a mess. You're muted, Dan.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to say I'd like to see him strike some more guys out. That would be the one thing that I think, if I'm really concerned about the FIP, I think that's the way he could kind of boost it is put more batters away himself. But may not be necessary. Like I said, the weak contact is pretty strong.
Yeah, he kind of goes back and forth. Like he'll have starts where he gets 3 strikeouts, and then he'll have a start where he gets 9 strikeouts. So it's definitely something.
He's young.
Yeah, he's young. He was 25. He'll figure it out. And then the last starter I want to talk about is Keter Montero. I say starter, but right now he's working out of the bullpen. But he is going to be starting a game this week against the Cubs. So Montero's in a weird spot because I get the weird feeling that Hinch doesn't like him because he doesn't want him going deep into games, and he's always relegated to the bullpen. And it's kind of a weird scenario, but he's been coming up and down for the past 2 seasons now. He pitched in the WBC this past in the offseason, and for Venezuela. I think that gave him a lot of confidence because he looks a lot more confident than he has previously. He's always kind of struggled with consistency, but he's been a lot better this season in that. And I just wanted to give him some love because he gets a little overshadowed by the Melton, the Skubal, and the Mize, and all that stuff. I mean, working out of the bullpen, he's been fantastic. Like, I love him as a starter, and I want him to be a starter. But when you have a guy who can come out and give you 3 really good innings out of the bullpen, that's really awesome. So, yeah, I guess that's it for Montero there. Now, the bullpen. I'm not going to spend time on the bullpen because it's a fucking mess. They are somehow 10th in ERA, which I believe is a lie. That is a made-up stat, and that cannot be true. But it apparently is true. They're 16th in K rate, 14th in walk rate, 14th in home runs per 9. But they are 29th in win percentage added. They are 29th in shutdowns, which means they don't have a lot of which basically means they don't have a lot of clean innings. They have the second most blown saves in the league in baseball, and they are 28th in saves. This bullpen should be a lot better than it is based on ERA and K rate, and because they're averaging they're not walking a ton of guys, they're not giving up a ton of home runs, they're having a decent amount of strikeouts. They're just giving up the home runs at the worst possible moment. Kenley Jansen has given up 3 walk-off homers. What are we doing here? I don't understand it. It's just really weird, and I don't know what to make of it. They're just, I know Eric doesn't like this. They're unclutch. If you put them in a one-run lead, they are not going to hold that 1 run. They put them in 2, 3, 4 runs. They're not going to hold that lead. But you put them in a game where they're down by 2 or they're up by 7, they're not going to give up more. It's just really weird. So I don't know what to make of the bullpen. I mean, I'm not going to talk about any of the players because this has been Kyle Finnegan has been really good. Drew Anderson has been not. Kenley Jansen has been not. I don't know. Will Vest has been bad, but he has a stress fracture in his elbow and is out for the next 2 months at least. I don't know what to make of it. It's really bad. It's really weird. Anything to that?
I think, and maybe this is the appropriate time since you've covered the entirety of the team. And Eric's not here, so this may or may not be something he wouldn't appreciate. Oh well, I can say it anyway. The Detroit Tigers just feel like a situationally poor team this year. They don't situational hit. They have bad at-bats all the time, and occasionally they run into one and hit a home run or get an RBI double or something to that effect. And then the bullpen coughs it up. Not constantly, pretty darn often. You can look at that one of two ways. You can look at that and go, oh gosh, what terrible luck. And that probably is the more sabermetrical way of looking at this, where you can't control when the good things happen and when the bad things happen. I don't know that I entirely agree with it. I don't disagree with it entirely either, but I don't know that I entirely agree with it. I think there's the potential that a mindset has been fostered in Detroit by coaching staffs and so on, where they don't focus on those details, and that's how you end up with a record like they have, while being a pretty darn talented team. So thank you, Eric. I appreciate you shaking your fist. But to me, I think I'm not a big advocate of like firing hitting coaches and stuff. I think that's often isn't really a needle mover. This might be a time where like we need to change some things philosophically because it's not working.
They did change one of 3 of their hitting coaches in the offseason, who went over to the Twins, and you want to know how good the Twins are hitting right now. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't think he was fired. I think his contract ended and they didn't renew it. They did fire third base coach Joey Cora, which I've memed on, and I've enjoyed the Joey Cora windmills sending everyone, but we've had multiple instances this season where guys are being thrown out of the plate by 15 feet, and it was philosophical differences. And I saw a comment on Reddit was the philosophical difference that Joey Cora has a fetish for guys getting thrown out at home. Because
that's another example of what I'm talking, poor base running. And that comes directly from coaching. That's actually a really good example of what I'm referring to. Sorry, Sam, you've been itching to say something.
The Tigers, I think, if to use an NFL analogy here, the Tigers are like a team who has a pretty good offense, pretty good defense, bad special teams, bad turnover difference. Where you look at their offense and you look at their defense and you go, oh, that should be a halfway decent team. But then you look into the stats and they're like, well, they're really bad at special teams. They can't take the ball away. They give the ball away, or they have a bad red zone, efficiency rate or something like that, where, you can look at the sort of just the regular numbers and you go, oh, they should be a decent team. But it's things that are kind of below the surface. The clutch stats, quote unquote, are very bad.
They don't do the little things, to put a cliche on it. But I think a very valid cliche.
It's very weird. It's a very weird team. They are a better team on paper. They should have a better record. But they had such an atrocious May, they have to dig out of a really big hole. Since June 1st, they're, I think, 24-15, which is one of the best records in baseball in that time period. It's only 6 weeks, but that's a pretty good time span, right? They're, I think, 4.5 or 4 games back of a wild card spot right now. They're with 4 teams in between them. That's not great. But they've been playing a lot better baseball. They still have Skubal and Mize, and well, maybe not Mize, but he just got hit in the hand and might have broke his hand today. So now the question is, what the hell do you do at the trade deadline? The question, and my answer is, I don't know. It might be determined. The trade deadline is August 3rd. They might decide what to do on August 2nd, because it could depend entirely on how the team plays in the next 2 weeks and what everyone else in the American League is doing. Because there's two schools of thought of trade Skubal while you can, or go all in while you still have Skubal. Like, is this return for Skubal better than the comp pick you're going to get when he walks?
Let me ask you this question then, Lee. You said you don't know what this team should do at the trade deadline. Let's put that aside. What does this team need to do? You said you don't know what this team needs to do in the short term. What does this team need to do in the long term? What do the Tigers need to do for 2027 and beyond?
I think they need to do an overhaul of the roster. I think there's, as much as I love Kerry Carpenter, as much as I enjoy a lot of the strategy platooning, I want more everyday players. I want more players that you can throw out on the field 162 games and be like, yeah, I trust this guy. Because right now, this roster is very heavy on platooning and matchups and pinch hitting, and that's fun and all, but we don't have an everyday right fielder. We don't have an everyday third baseman, unless you want to count Kevin McGonigal, but he splits his time between short and third. As much as I love Zach McKinstry, we can't be relying on Zach McKinstry filling in a defensive hole every single day. I think what they need is to reevaluate their process and do some turnover needs to be done. They cannot have the same roster going forward because there's just too many holes that you need to plug. I think it needs to be, yeah.
They need to not run it back, is what you're saying.
Yes, there needs to be something different. The pitching staff and the starters, I think, will be fine because you'll have Melton, you have Olsen will be coming back, Joe is coming back in a couple of months, and he'll be there next year. Montero will be there. I feel like sign another starter or re-sign Mize. I think Mize is a great candidate for someone that we can re-sign. Or I don't know if he'll want to take a qualifying offer, depending on how he finishes off this year. I feel like my point is he's the guy that we can re-sign. The bullpen needs an overhaul. The lineup needs an overhaul. They need to change how they're going about things. I don't know if that means turnover in the front office staff. I'm not sitting here and advocating for Scott Harris to be fired. What I am saying is, Illich just recently, for the GM for the Red Wings is no longer going to be the GM. Maybe Illich should take a look at the Tigers front office and take a good look and see if you want to stick around with the same methods they're currently using, because they're not really working.
Well, if you want to hear someone advocate for a GM being fired, stay tuned.
Yeah. I guess my last thing before I end my spiel is, what do you think the Tigers are going to do? Are they going to sell, are they going to buy, or are they going to just sell Skubal and otherwise buy?
I think Skubal's going to be traded. I think anyone who thinks otherwise is mistaken. Skubal's going to be traded, and then I think they're going to take a look at who is going to be a Tiger in 2027 and beyond. And they're going to make decisions based on that. So I think they're going to sell Skubal, but I think they're going to kind of be in a mid-ground outside of that.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I do think Tarek Skubal will get traded. I think the items that come back for Tarek Skubal, like I think I said the other day when we were talking, you can get whatever you want. Name like the type of thing you want, and you can get it for him. I think it's going to be players that could help in the final 2 months, and if not, will definitely help in 2027. And additionally, I think any other moves that Detroit makes, they may trade some of the other players that are nearing the end of their contracts, but if they do, it's not going to be for single A prospects. It's going to be for players that if they don't help in the next 2 months, will definitely help. What would that be? 8 months from now, or 2027. So I think it's a reload more than a rebuild.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way of looking at it, because I mean, on paper, we got a bunch of really good players. We got guys like Melton and Montero going for the pitching staff, and Olsen and Joe. We got Green and Dingler and McGonigal. It's just kind of, there's haves and have-nots in terms of like how well these players are doing. We got really good players and a bunch of really bad players, and we just need average players.
And Lee, your want of not having to platoon as much, that's going to be expensive. Like, there's not that many players in the major leagues, unfortunately, in 2026 who you stick out there for 150 games anymore. And if you do, you're going to pay out the nose for them. But one of the best ways you can get them is at this trade deadline. And you can get young ones that don't literally cost so much in terms of paying them money, but acquiring them is going to cost. But you've got the ammunition for that.
Yeah. I guess my overall point for not platooning is I don't want a team comprised of a bunch of like Kerry Carpenters and Jemai Jones who are only there to hit one pitcher, you know. But it's fun, but it's also just give me a lineup of guys you can put out there 5 out of 7 days. So yeah. Tigers are reportedly planning on buying at the deadline, which I think is silly. The national media's been all over this. It's been very frustrating to see. Just every day it changes in terms of what the Tigers are going to do. But right now, apparently, they're planning on buying. It's hard to argue against it too much, but also don't let Skubal walk for nothing. You just can't do that. I think that's it for me. I've gone on for like an hour and a bit, so I will stop yapping. Yeah, it's a weird season with a bunch of weird players, and I don't know what they're doing. And I feel like either way, I'm going to have a mental breakdown when the trade deadline comes. Because they're going to do something stupid. I just know it.
Who knows? Who knows what they're doing first? The Detroit Tigers or LeBron?
Yeah.
Probably LeBron.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think we can maybe do an emergency pod when LeBron decides to bring his talents back to Cleveland.
I'd love that. I hope that happens.
I'm sure you do, Dan. I'm sure you do. Talk about the Kansas City Royals now. And the Royals are 100 games into this 2026 MLB season. And they have a record of 40-60. And if you're keeping track at home, that is pretty bad. They are not going to be doing anything of note this season. And as far as any expectation that was had at the beginning of the season, I think most of the betting sites had the Royals at around 81 to 82 and a half. They're over under this season. So if you bet the under on the Kansas City Royals this season, congratulations. That was a winning bet. And something has gone wrong this season with the Kansas City Royals because, again, this was a team that was expected to do something. Now, maybe not go and win the World Series or anything like that, but they certainly were a team that was coming off back-to-back winning seasons. They had made the playoffs in 2024 and then finished 82 and 80 last season. So not a team that was expected to be world beaters, but a team that was expected to be a lot better than they are right now. So we'll talk a little bit about what went wrong for the Royals. And I think the biggest thing that went well, we'll separate this into categories as my notes that I have in front of me are. I think the first thing that went wrong was injuries. The Royals have had a lot of injuries this season. And similar to what the Tigers have had, the Royals have had a lot of their key players who we thought were going to be major contributors this season get hurt. So I'll go through these, and this is not going to be an exhaustive list, but these are some of the guys who are either currently out or who have spent a decent amount of time on the shelf this season. Kyle Isbell, the Royals center fielder, he got hurt, plantar fasciitis injury. He's been out for the last few months. He was having a good season at the plate. He's a great defender. He's out. Cole Reagans, once upon a time, a Cy Young candidate, a dark horse, best pitcher in the American League type of guy. He's out. He spent most of the season in 2025 injured, and now he's going to spend most of the season in 2026 injured. He finished 4th in the Cy Young in 2024. He's not pitched very much in the past 2 seasons.
Remind me, what was his injury again? It was like elbow something, right?
He had another Tommy John surgery. So we talked a couple weeks ago about how he was having an elbow surgery, quote unquote. Yeah. So Cole Reagans is now having the 3rd Tommy John surgery of his baseball career. So there you go. I talked about one-hit wonders prior to this in a prior segment of this show. So maybe there's one of those right there. Chris Bubich also, he's had a lot of shoulder injuries. He has not had Tommy John surgery. No, he did. He has had one a couple years ago, but he's on his way back, and he'll probably be back within the next couple of weeks. He's, he was an all-star last year. He was looking good this year. He's going to come back just so that we can trade him. He's going to come back and have a couple good starts just so that his trade value can, be increased. Michael Garcia had a breakout year last year. He's been on the shelf a couple times this year. He's had a couple of little nagging injuries here and there. Hasn't had a ton of time on the field this season. I think the way that he I think of all the players that exist in MLB, Michael Garcia has the most confusing wins above replacement, because you look at his stats over the years, and even in seasons where he wasn't very good, he had a halfway decent wins above replacement. And even this year, he's underwater with his OPS plus, but he's still got a 1.8 wins above replacement. So I don't know what that's all about. Maybe just the way he plays is conducive toward, accumulating a lot of WAR. But still, he's on the shelf, and he's not had a ton of time this season, and also hasn't been as productive this year.
It's probably based on like balls in play, because he doesn't strike out a bunch, and baseball B1 hates strikeouts. So
yeah.
He's also a 93rd percentile outs above average player, so the defense is sparkling, and that'll cover up a lot of that. You'll accumulate a lot of WAR that way, a la Andres Jimenez type thing.
Yeah, precisely. So, WAR, what is it good for? Absolutely something. Anyway, then you've got Vinny Pasquantino. He just came back after the All-Star break. He's been less than this season, very much less than over the last couple of years. We'll get to that, Eric. Vinny Pasquantino, he's been on the shelf for a little bit of time here. And then 2 guys I want to talk about who have been a kind of microcosm of the Royals' last handful of time. Carlos Estevez and Jonathan India. Estevez led the majors in saves last season. He had 42 of them. He, this season, has pitched 1/3 of an inning, and he has given up 6 runs. He's been on the injured list since the 2nd game of the season with a left foot contusion. During that 6-run third of an inning, he was hit on the foot with a baseball. I don't think that's the injury that he's currently coming back from. I think there might be something else going on. Now, he has not had surgery or anything like that yet, but he was someone, if the Royals were going to have a good season, was going to be instrumental to this team. He needed to have a good, a similar season to what he had last year. And saves are a little bit of a fuzzy stat. as I've talked about before, where you can rack up a lot of saves in a single season and doesn't necessarily, translate toward, whatever. You look at some of the most saves that have been had in a single season, and there's some random names on that list. But Carlos Estevez was a guy where if the Royals were going to have a good year and go back to the playoffs and be competitive, he was going to be someone who the Royals needed to rely on. And in game 2 of the season, he got blown up, and we haven't seen him since. And finally, that brings me to Mr. Jonathan India, who will go down as the very worst trade that the Kansas City Royals have ever, one of the very worst trades that the Royals have ever made. He played a grand total of 17 games for the Royals in 2026, and he got injured for the season, and now that is the conclusion of the Jonathan India Brady Singer trade. Now, Brady Singer's been fine in his 2 seasons with the Reds. He hasn't lit the world on fire or anything, but the Royals brought in Jonathan India to be a top of the lineup, leadoff, table setting guy for the team. And he was anything but that. He was terrible during his Royals tenure. And I think he is, I don't want to say he's lucky to have gotten injured, but if he played out this whole season and was bad, he probably would not have gotten he probably wouldn't get a second chance next season or another chance next season. I think the fact that he got hurt, someone's going to give him another chance next season. And maybe he resurrects his career somewhere, but he won Rookie of the Year in 2021. And ever since then, it's been down, 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 down for Jonathan India. So I don't know what to say. Those are the guys who have gotten injured. And a lot of the guys who were depth pieces on this team who were in the minor leagues, they got injured too. Talk about Ryan Berger, Ben Kadruna, other pieces that I mentioned before the season ended up getting injured and they're not around. So with all that, I mean, most of the guys who you were counting on haven't been able to be on the field. And your best ability is what, Lee?
Availability.
And that's correct. Your best ability is your availability. And the Royals haven't had that this season. So unless anyone has any thoughts on any of those guys that I just rattled off, I'm going to move on. Sometimes
kind of interesting
go ahead.
Because he was doing really poorly to start the season. He kind of started heating up a little bit, but then he got injured. When he comes back, what do you think we'll see out of him? Do you think he'll be anywhere near what we thought he was going to be this season, or is it just kind of lost year?
He's traditionally been a slow starter to the season. I think this year specifically, he got off to just a horrendous start. I don't know if Vinny, I kind of expected him this season to be a fringe all-star. I don't know if we're going to see that from Vinny in his career. I think that he is just maybe a above replacement level player. I think he's maybe just a really good, like solid, guy who you can put into the lineup. But I don't think he's going to be I don't think he's going to be that level of player that I was expecting him to be coming into this season. Now, I could be wrong about that, but I just think that he maybe is he is what he is at this point. And I think if he wants to take the next step in his career, I don't know what that looks like, to be honest.
I have a question too. coming off of Pasquantino, but coming into this offseason, we, I think, largely applauded the extension that was handed to Garcia.
Mhm.
Having he has not been as good offensively this year when he was on the field, and now he's hurt. What's your temperature on that extension right now? Obviously, it's still really early in kind of the process of that, but are you having any second thoughts, I guess, at this point?
I think what we discussed earlier about his value just defensively and what he does outside of having the bat in his hands is pretty high. And I think that what we saw from him last season, it wasn't a situation where he was outpacing a bunch of mediocre batted ball stats. Like he was hitting the ball, his squared up percentage was good, his heart, all that kind of stuff was really good for Garcia last season. So I think if you've shown that you can do that, that's not like that's not something that you lose, I feel like. So I think that he is probably going to return to being more of what we saw last year than what we saw. And to be granted, he had flashes during the year where he looked really good. And then kind of fell off for a couple weeks and then went on the injured list. So I'm wondering if maybe he was dealing with some kind of injury and that's what caused him to take a little bit of a dip in his statistics. But I'm not mad that they signed that contract as of right now.
Yeah, if you look at his stats, like he's not underperforming in all metrics. It's mostly his slugging is going down. He's not really hitting for a lot of power anymore. Like could very easily be injury based stuff. Or it could be 1 year wonder, had a year where he randomly hits a bunch of homers and doesn't really replicate it. But the fact that he's still getting on base, he still has a high batting average, I think that's reassuring at least that the skills aren't completely gone. Then maybe there's injury stuff or whatever under the hood stuff going on. So
Yeah.
I guess I kind of agree with you, and I wouldn't be concerned about it. Now, if next year his batting average goes down, he's still not slugging, then maybe you could put up a couple of red flags. But for now, no reason to be.
The way I feel about Garcia has not gone down. I'll say that. So anyway, so there's injuries, and that's been a big factor in why the Royals haven't been quite as good this season. A lot simpler. Not good anymore. There's a lot of guys on this team who are not good anymore. And I'm going to go ahead and we can start with the elephant in the room, and that is Mr. Salvador Perez. This season has not been good. As it stands, he is at a negative 0.7 WAR. He has a 604 OPS and a 70 OPS plus. And as far as the eye test is concerned, he has looked really bad this year. And he does not look anywhere near to the player he was even last year. And last year he wasn't terrific, but he was he was fine. I don't know what he I don't know what he could be experiencing other than getting old. And I think his body's starting to break down. And I think he might be entering a period of his career. I think what's going on with him is that he knows that he needs to hit a couple more home runs to reach a milestone, and then he's going to call it. That might be what's going on. But it also just might be that he's trying as hard as he can, and he can't produce results anymore. So I don't know. Salvador Perez is 3 home runs away from becoming the all-time home run leader in Royals history. I don't think, I don't doubt that he's going to get that this season. He's got another 60 games to hit 3 home runs. 2 nights ago, he hit a ball 440 feet. So clearly he's still got some amount of ability left. I think it really just comes down to a question of when does he decide enough is enough? And based on what he's done this season, I think he might need to call it a career at the end of the year.
He doesn't have that. I thought he had the 1 year left on this contract. I don't remember.
He's got 1 year left.
Okay.
He's got next year left on his contract.
Okay. I guess this is wrong since it's free agent. I don't know what this is about. Weird. This must not.
No. He does have another year left on his contract. So I'll say this for Salvi. If I'm him, he's going to hit another 3 home runs. He's going to become the Royals' all-time leader in home runs. After that, what does he have left in his Royals career that he can achieve that he has not already achieved? He's a 9-time All-Star. He's a 5-time Gold Glover, a 5-time Silver Slugger. He's won the World Series. He's the World Series MVP. He won the Clemente Award. He's the all-time leader in franchise history in home runs. I don't really think there's anything left for him to do with this team that he hasn't already done. And you don't want to go out on a mid-season retirement next year. You don't want to go out the way Ken Griffey Jr. did, retiring during the middle of the season. So it might be time, and I'm going to say maybe a word stronger than might. It's probably almost certainly time at the end of the year for Salvi to hang it up.
Do you think maybe I'm being a little, I don't know, I guess I'm getting into the uncomfortable questions. Do you think there's a scenario where at the end of the year, he's like, I want to play next year, and the Royals front office is, are you sure?
I think that if he comes back next year, it will be if he expresses interest in coming back next season, I think there will be a heart-to-heart had between him and the Royals leadership. And I don't think the Royals leadership is going to say, no, you can't come back. But I do think they might say, all right, if you do come back, we need to, if he's going to come back next year, he needs to work his butt off in the off season to get himself into, shape for next season. And he probably needs to also give up being behind the plate next season. And he also probably needs to give up hitting in a prominent spot in the lineup.
He's still batting like 4th, isn't he? In the lineup.
He's been batting like 5th or 6th the last couple weeks. Okay. They've moved him down in the lineup the last couple weeks. So if he comes back, we need to have a framework in place of how we're going to play next season if he decides to come back. Or, you know what, maybe he just might decide to retire and it's all irrelevant. But at the end of the day, he will be a all-time Royals great. He will have his number retired. He will be in the Royals Hall of Fame. I do believe he will be in the MLB Hall of Fame. And I think that he will be a great player. And no one, when he decides to hang it up, is going to remember, oh man, he had a bad year in his last year with the Royals. No, they're gonna remember all of the things that happened prior to this. So there's Salvi. With that being said, there's some other players on the Royals who are having some not good anymore itis. Talk about one-year wonders. Seth Lugo finished second in the Cy Young Award 2 years ago. He's not been great this season. He seemingly can't get anybody out in the last couple of starts. He's had a couple of flashes here and there where he looked okay. But you look at that Savant page, and that is a pretty sad, pretty lonely Savant page, as far as I'm concerned. He's just been pretty bad. He's not been good. Matt Strahm was brought in as a win now piece for the Royals. He went from being one of the best relievers in baseball to being one of the absolute worst relievers in baseball within the span of a year. He, if I am not mistaken, has the worst home run rate in baseball this season. And I remember there was a stretch of like 6 appearances in a row where he gave up a home run. Like it got to a point where it felt like every time he came in, he gave up a home run, which is not very good, by the way, for a reliever. Speaking of bad relievers, Lucas Erceg has been pretty horrendous this season. There was a time when I said that I thought he would supplant Carlos Estevez as the Royals closer. Well, guess what? He did, but that was because of injury, and now he stinks. He's got a negative 0.5 wins above replacement this season. Lucas Erceg does, and he's just been pretty bad. Pretty horrendous, and constantly blowing saves when he was the closer. And eventually the Royals had to turn to Alex Lang, the great Alex Lang, to be the Royals closer, which he's been, not very good. Not very good. So there's that. Royals bullpen was expected to be pretty good, and they have been, in fact, pretty bad. And then finally, I'll just go with Noah Cameron. Noah Cameron has taken a real step back in his second season as a Kansas City Royal. He just, again, can't put it together this season. He had a stretch where he looked okay for a little while. He was kind of starting to, improve his ERA and was looking a little bit better. Well, guess what? Today, ladies and gentlemen, Noah Cameron pitched 5 innings and gave up 7 earned runs to the San Diego Padres as the Royals were defeated 19-2 by the Padres. So that's not very good. So with all that, injuries, a bunch of guys underperforming, that's why the Royals have not been good this season. And that's on the field, reasons. I think there's some off the field reasons why the Royals haven't been very good this season. And part of it is just holding on to guys too long, whether it's players, whether it's coaches, whether it's whomever, where we have this idea, and this has always been a thing with the Royals, by the way, so-and-so is going to break through. So-and-so is going to turn it around. So-and-so is going to figure it out. Well, sometimes they don't. And when you suck and no one expects anything from you and you're expected to be a bottom of the league team, no harm, no foul in giving a guy time to turn it around. But when you actually have expectations and when you are actually expected to be a good team, you got to run your organization a little bit more seriously. And when Bailey Falter is allowed to just go out there and serve it up to the other team game after game after game before he finally gets cut, and when the coaching staff has remained the same over the last several years, despite not very good results recently, that's an example of just holding on to guys too long. Now, firing guys mid-season, what does that really do for you at the end of the day? Not much, right? Because I don't think the Royals are going to turn it around. But baseball is a sport where the trade deadline is very important. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but there were some trade deadline rumblings recently involving the Royals. And it included talk of how the Royals are going to expect a very high asking price for Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha, and that if they don't get the deal that they want, they'll just hold on to those two guys. Now, there's two ways of looking at this. The first way of looking at this is by maybe this team is saying, well, oh, gee, if we trade these guys away, then who's going to pitch for us? Like, we don't have a lot of depth. So if we get rid of these guys, I don't know who we're going to have in there pitching for us this season. Maybe that's one of the ways of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is maybe the Royals are saying, oh, wow, whew, man, if you want one of these guys, you're really going to have to give us a lot. I mean, there's some other teams who are offering us quite a bit for these players. So if you want these guys at the trade deadline, I guess you're really going to have to pay for them. Maybe that's what they're thinking, right?
They gain nothing by going out in the media and going, oh, gee, I hope we could get something for Michael Wacha. Like, that's not, like, of course you're going to say, better be a good offer.
Yeah, that's what I kind of think for the Tigers, because they, we're going to hold on to Skubal, we're going to buy, but, it's also part of posturing, and you can get better offers that way by saying, well, we really don't want to give him up, but if you give us a really good offer, then maybe,
Yeah. So a lack of really serious organizational organizing, I guess, is a good way of putting it.
It just seems like Lugo isn't the guy that you're like, yeah, this is a really solid piece that we want to hold on to, and we can have a high price. It's like, okay, you looked at his.
And here's the deal: those are two veteran pitchers, who have been good in their careers, who have shown that they're decent players. Someone's gonna want those guys. That's fair. Certainly.
Wacha especially. He's been solid. And you'll get something for him for sure.
I think Wacha is probably going to get traded back to the Cardinals. But again, it's just a lack of. It's either we don't know who else we're going to have pitch for us, or we're for some reason trying to play hardball. And both of those, I'm not down with. But with all those things being said, I want to give you a quick anecdote. Yesterday afternoon, Randy Dobnik started a game for the Kansas City Royals. He made his first start since 2021 yesterday for the Royals. Yeah, the Royals picked him up on a minor league deal this offseason. He's the 11th most valuable player for the Royals this season, according to WAR. This season, Randy Dobnak has pitched 14 innings for the Royals. In the previous 2 seasons combined, he's pitched 15 innings.
Wow.
And now, I don't mean to besmirch Randy Dobnak because he had a decent start yesterday. He pitched 4 1/3 innings. He gave up 1 run to the Padres. Like, good job resurrecting your career. Like, great. But it's kind of smacks of what happened with Rich Hill last season with the Royals. So, I mean, what are we going to do?
You were just saying a minute ago, if they trade Lugo or Waka or both, they're going to need to cover innings. You may be seeing more of Randy Dobnak in your future, quite frankly.
Exactly. So, oh my God. Eric has a Randy Dobnak hoodie. Wow, that's awesome.
Utica Unicorn.
He wore
legend.
68 with the Twins.
Yes, because they wouldn't give him the number he wanted. You can guess what it was.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Well,
number.
68's the loneliest number
It's true.
because it's right between 67 and 69. Anyway.
For now. Give it time. There will be some stupid meme in the next year. But.
After all that, let's talk some positives. Let's talk some guys who have looked good this season. I'll go through these pretty quickly. Carter Jensen, he's looked good. He looks like a solid major leaguer. He's been good behind the plate. Looks like the catcher of the future for the Royals. So Carter, good job. Jack Caglione has really come into his own. Made the home run derby this season. Now, I would have preferred him to make the All-Star game, but making the home run derby, that's good to see him there. He's looked like a legit major leaguer this year. Daniel Lynch IV has been probably one of the best relievers in baseball this season. He's really found himself a spot in the bullpen. Lewinder Avila has been good. He's looking like a good prospect. He has had some good starts with some bad starts mixed in there. But he looks like a guy who's going to be a legit major leaguer into the future. And then finally, Michael Massey and Nick Lofton, both of them have had a good amount of time with the Royals here. They both look like not anything special, but 2 solid, like plug and play major league players who could certainly be, shipped off somewhere else if someone needs to plug a guy into their lineup. So, with all that being said, what needs to happen? What needs to happen with this team? Number 1, we need to take our medicine during the trade deadline. And we need to get rid of the players who are not part of the future. So any guy who's coming up to the end of his contract, any guy who's coming up to the end of his arbitration or to their career or to whatever, anyone who's not a part of the future needs to be moved on from. Lugo and Waka need to be traded. There's no 2 ways about it. If you don't have anyone who can pitch for you the rest of the season, guess what? You're not going anywhere this season. So let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's take our medicine and let's move on from guys who need to be moved on from. And if that includes moving on from Daniel Lynch IV or moving on from Lane Thomas, who's looked pretty good this year, or at least in the last little stretch for the Royals. If that includes moving on from guys who you have confidence in, who you think are good, you need to move on from those guys, and you need to rebuild for the future. I've talked about this before. Organizational upheaval. We gotta get some fresh blood in this organization, and it can't just be guys who have been around for a long time. JJ Piccolo's been around for a while. He was the assistant GM under the previous administration. He's been around for a long time, but it ain't working. So it's time to move on. We need to clean house. We need to we need to get rid of our buddies who we work with. Man, we really like those guys, but you know what? It's time to move in a new direction from those guys. We need to justify this new stadium. We're building a new stadium, and if this team loses 100 games over the next couple years, let me tell you what, that new stadium's going to open, and there's going to be not much excitement for it. And in a couple years, if this team continues to be irrelevant, you're going to have a very expensive hole in the ground, is what that new stadium is going to be. So let's convince people that building this stadium is worth it. And finally, we need to stop living in the past. This is an organization that has been living in the past for a while. And this is an organization that has only been living in the present for a very short amount of time in my life. Yes, we made the playoffs 2 years ago. Yes, we won the World Series 11 years ago. That's the past. And I think this team has a pretty good group of players and a pretty good group of talent. But in order for us to make the most of that group of talent, we need to start living for now and stop resting on our laurels and stop pretending like winning 2 years ago and 11 years ago is enough. We don't want Bobby Witt Jr. to be the next Mike Trout, as far as team success is concerned. We want him to be that as far as individual success is concerned, but we don't want everyone to stand around and go, oh, well, the Angels, oh, man, oh, Mike Trout, he was on a team that sucked his entire career. Now, granted, Bobby Witt Jr. has already had more postseason success in his career than Mike Trout has had, but that's beside the point. Stop living in the past. Present, future. That's what the Royals need to focus on, and we need to start doing it now, okay? That's my mandate to the Royals. So I'm going to mention 3 things before I close this out. 3 highlights of the first half. 3 things that I want to just shout out real quick. Bobby Witt Jr.'s inside the park home run against the Tigers was on a 17-foot ground ball. That is the shortest inside the park home run of the StatCast era. The Royals.
Context missing from that one.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't think so. I think he just ran around after 17 feet.
Mm-hmm. The Royals have the shortest inside the park home run and outside the park home run in the StatCast era as a result of that. Lorenzo Cain hit a 302-foot home run in Fenway Park around Pesky Pole. That is the shortest home run of the StatCast era.
I'd like to... Sorry, I'm not dogging on you. I have an actual comment. The shortest inside the park home run is from way back in the 1800s. Some guy hit the ball into the dirt and nobody saw it because it was all muddy, and he ran around the bases, and it was a home run because they didn't have anything like taking care of the infield dirt.
If something happened in the 1800s, it's not a record.
But it's
Well,
fun.
back in my day, when the ball went into the mud, we just had to look for it. No,
Back when we
okay,
used 3 baseballs the entire season, and we used tobacco and scratched it, and
yeah. So we all took our opium before the game to make sure that we were in fighting shape.
To be fair, they mixed it and made laudanum. So.
So anyway, there's that for Bobby. This is one of the things, I wasn't on the show last week to talk about this, but this is one of the things that we all have like those baseball stats that we like to monitor and that we're like weirdly into. The Royals scored in every inning against the Phillies. They scored in all 8 innings against the Phillies in a game.
Oh, no.
And I want to play a little game here with the members of this podcast. How many times has it happened that a team has scored in every inning that they came to bat in MLB history?
So we're going all the way back to 1800s.
I was about to say, so now we're counting the 1800s.
Well, I think what I saw is like live ball era.
Okay. I'm gonna say there's a lot of games. I'm gonna say it's had to have happened like 50-something times.
Okay.
Sounds like a lot, but considering how many games there are, it's not that much.
Dan?
4.
Oh, I was gonna say 4. Price is right. I'm gonna do 5.
All right. Well, Eric, you worked Price is Right rules there pretty well, because the answer is 21.
Okay.
It is the 21st time in MLB history that a team has scored in every inning that they came to bat. Now, granted, the Royals were the home team. So if you're scoring in every inning, you're going to be winning the game. And so you're not going to play the bottom of the ninth. But no team in American League history has ever scored in all 9 innings. It's only happened in the National League.
I suppose that would be a walk-off then, wouldn't it?
Well, you would have to be the road team to do it.
Right.
Right. So the road team could score in all 9 innings. And that's only happened 3 times in the National League.
Or the home team, but they lose, even though that would be really weird. It's still legal anyway.
Well, again, if you're scoring in all 8 innings, I mean,
it's at least
there's no way you're not winning the game, right?
There is, but it's a very severe edge case. Like
Right.
you could lose 10-9 and score in every inning one time.
Sure. Yeah, but practically, yes. So the Royals were the 21st team to score in every inning they came to bat in a game. And they actually did it for the 2nd time in franchise history in that game against the Phillies. So the Royals have done this twice. It's never been done in all 9 innings by an American League team. Also, weirdly, it's happened twice at Wrigley Field, where the road team scored in all 9 innings in Chicago. So anyway, my point is, this is rarer than a perfect game.
Yeah.
Cool.
What the Royals did in that game against the Phillies. And the final thing from the first half of the Royals that I'll shout out is Tyler Tolbert, who went on an unbelievable streak of having 12 straight hits in 12 straight plate appearances, tied for an MLB record of most consecutive hits across plate appearances. And there's some real irrelevant names on that list of guys who have the most consecutive hits in consecutive plate appearances. And Tyler Tolbert is now one of them. So there you go, Tyler. Way to write your name into the record books.
I think one of them is Jose Miranda from like 3 years ago.
Jose Miranda. Yeah, he's one of them.
And it was like some guy from the 20s, because I remember it was like some ridiculous name. I should look that back up. But yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll open up the floor to questions if anyone has any thoughts about anything that I discussed during this little rant about the Royals.
Yeah, so we're kind of talking about the Tigers and like, okay, they're not going to be rebuilding. They're going to want to retool. There's try and be competitive for next year. For the Royals, I guess two-parter. What do you think they should do, and what do you think they are going to do? Are they going to do rebuild, or are they going to try and be competitive next year?
I think the Royals are, now that the Royals need to restock. They need to restock the major league roster. They need to restock the minor league roster. And you need to put yourself in a position where you are in a place where you can do something while Bobby Witt Jr. is still on this contract. That might be next year. That might be the year after. Who knows? But at some point within the next few years, before you start working on the new stadium, you need to be in a position where you are conceivably in a competitive spot. That might happen next season. I don't know. But I think and now, especially now that Salvi is going to be probably not on the team next year, you don't have as much urgency to like, oh, let's give Perez one last ride in the playoffs. That's not going to happen, right? So I don't think they're going to fully tear it to the ground, but I don't think they're necessarily planning to be competitive next season.
I think they have a start of a decent lineup. Jensen, Pasquantino. I know you were I don't think you were down on him, but he's been disappointing this year. And then he messed with a hamate bone. Bobby, obviously. Garcia, I know he's been injured, but that's four pretty. That's a good starting point.
Caglione too.
Yeah. So doing those four,
right.
Jensen,
you've got a decent core.
Yep. It's just the pitching they got to figure out. I think the bullpen is one of the worst ERAs, one of the few worst ERAs in the Twins bullpen. And then you got to figure. I think you talked about trading Seth Lugo, and the Royals had a high asking price. I think the value in trading Seth Lugo is to free up the $20 million a year, so you can go invest on someone else. So I don't know how much you get back for him, but
someone's gonna want him.
Yeah,
someone's gonna give you something for those two guys that I mentioned. It might be a top 100 prospect. But it'll be the 99th prospect or the 98th prospect or the 100th prospect for one of those two guys. But you're certainly going to get something back for one of those two guys, and you need to get something and not nothing.
I think you're going to have to eat a significant part of that contract to get 100. I mean,
there's going to be debt. There's going to be debt
all of it
involved with those two.
I think with Waka, like I said, you're going to get an interesting prospect. With Lugo, I think you're getting a single A player or something to that effect.
Some lottery ticket.
I would go look at someone's Dominican Summer League, a 16-year-old that has a pretty high promise, and see if I can't get a lottery.
I think it's interesting that 12 months ago we were sitting here and we were talking about how if Kansas City could just flesh out a batting order, if they had more than just Michael Garcia and Bobby Witt Jr. in that offense, man, they'd be problematic. And now it sounds like that's kind of, I don't want to say mission accomplished, but like things are looking a little rosier there. You've got some young talent, guys like Caglione, that's been better. And now it's the pitching that's more so gone the other way. And you're going to have a lot of holes to fill. I don't know that I necessarily had a question. I just think it's a very interesting juxtaposition from where the Royals sat 12 months ago. They kind of found a new way to not succeed.
I also think just like he's not an offensive threat. Isbell had a nice year before he went down. He's just a good player. I think he's just a good solid center fielder. Who's the guy at second? Who's had a nice year? Massey. I don't know
Lofton.
Okay. I don't know how real he is. I think but maybe that's one of those two guys is fine. But I think, granted, I kind of have a soft spot for. Oh my goodness, I just forgot the center fielder's name. Jesus Christ.
Thomas.
No, the guy
Isbell?
that's injured. Isbell. I have a soft spot for him just because I like his player type.
Yeah.
But
And I think he's a good player, but he's also not the type of guy who you sign to an extension.
yeah, I think that's fair.
Going back to the if you trade Lugo and Waka, who is pitching, are there guys in AAA that you could have pitch later this year, next year, that you could be like, yeah, it's a starter, or is it kind of? Ugh?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason Randy Dobnak is pitching right now.
Lee, there are players who are pitching in AAA for the Royals right now. There absolutely are. And those players could pitch for the Royals. There's no rule saying a dog can't play basketball. All right. So
There's going to be spots on the 40-man, right? So
there are absolutely players that the Royals could call up, and we might see that.
All right.
additionally, I think of what the Guardians did in 2023, where that part of what they did at the deadline is they traded for Noah Syndergaard, like guy at the end, kind of like Dobnak. Like you can find ways to fill innings. It may not be pretty, it may not be a future play, but if you need somebody to pitch on a fifth day, you'll figure it out.
The Tigers did last year, and they almost cost them a playoff position. So
I don't think the Royals have to worry about that.
true.
No.
My point is, it can go very badly.
It can.
Royals are a weird
What?
team. I think we all kind of had them being at least 500-ish, right?
Yeah.
Better
I think I
than
said
this.
this a few weeks ago. You could have, prior to the start of the season, you could have shown this current standings completely reversed. It'd be like, all right, which one makes more sense? And they'd say,
Right.
oh, reverse, because but
And to my point about the pitching a minute ago, Eric loves to point out that we had the entire Royals starting rotation in our 25 best players in the AL Central this year. And for all you that listen to us, bless you, we appreciate it. But man, I personally apologize for us because we got that one wrong. Man,
I
oh,
would
man,
like
we get
to-
that one wrong.
I didn't want to say anything. I did not have Cole Reagans on my top 25. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I mean, again, Reagan's issue is not lack of ability or lack of talent. It's one of those things where, he's got the tools to do it. It's just injury and the ability to put it all together. I think it's the Royals had something special in 2024. And they had some sort of secret ingredient that allowed them to, improve by 30 games and go to the playoffs. And whatever thing that was, they don't have that anymore. So now it's time to move on.
Stop living in the past, like you said.
So anyway, anything else about the Royals?
So
Do you think
it sucks you have to deal with this again, though. Like, it's been a lot of.
Hey, you know what? It's there have been times in my life where there was just nothing on the Royals. There was no star player. There was no guy who would have been, a starter on 50% of other major league teams. They were at the bottom of payroll. They were at the bottom of, any metric you could throw at them. At least now we've gotten to a point where there's something on this team. And I'm not just talking about Bobby Witt Jr., but I'm talking about just the idea that there are pieces in place on this team. And we're not, the Royals have the 19th payroll this season in baseball. There's not an unwillingness to spend money like there was in the past. And I think one of the biggest, the thing I'm frustrated by is that not that they're playing poorly, is that you look around the league, there's a lot of teams this year and historically who have been able to do more with less, right? You look at the Guardians, certainly the Guardians are the poster child of that, but you look at the Brewers year in, year out, doing more with less. The
Tampa.
Rays doing more with less. The Cardinals this season doing more with less. And the Royals have these pieces in place and we're willing to spend money, yet somehow
Not working.
For those of you on audio right now, you should see what
where's our
Sam's doing.
ability to do more with less? I don't see it. So I just, that's my frustration more than just the team's bad.
That's kind of the worst part. It's always just the team is bad and you know they're not going to do anything different. It's not as simple as, oh, just fix this one problem. But they keep doing the same thing and they keep having the same results and they keep not changing it. That's always the worst.
Yeah.
That's always the worst part.
I would say if I could say the one thing that I want the Royals to do is at the end of the season, let's make a change and let's clean house organizationally. And maybe we're waiting to do that because, like I said, firing people mid-season doesn't really get you anything. But I would hope that this team will take a look in the mirror and do what needs to be done in, October, 7th or whatever day the Royals season ends. But anyway, I think that's enough Royals talk for now.
Fair enough. Let's just go into the schedules here. The White Sox.
I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Good luck. The White Sox are going to play at Texas and then in Houston. The Guardians are playing the Twins for 4 games and then the Rays. The Twins are playing the Guardians and then the A's. The Tigers are playing the Cubs and then the Royals for 4. And then the Royals are playing San Francisco and then Detroit for 4, like I said. Then they go into Minnesota, but that'll be next week. I would like to know in Kansas City what a peanut-free game is. That is blasphemous from Take Me Out to the Ball Game, but I guess that doesn't really matter anymore.
It's just an allergen thing.
I was supposed to say, shouldn't that just be like a thing? I don't know. Like, why just one game? People with peanut allergy. Also, are peanuts just everywhere in Kauffman Stadium? Like, is it just Texas Roadhouse from the 90s and they're just throwing shells everywhere?
I don't know. That's a really weird one. Like, yeah, right. We have a really concerned about peanut allergies. So one day, we're not going to sell peanuts.
All the allergy people in that day.
It literally is. I just clicked on the thing. Peanut-free game. We're taking care of our fans with peanut-free allergies for select games. We've decided this is a safe and oh god. Okay, it's fine. You know what? Good for them. Like, I work at a school. I am a professional lunch lady myself. Peanut allergies are a big thing, so I guess I can appreciate that. But I don't call that a promotion.
How many EpiPens are going to be in that stadium?
Just one. It's actually, instead of scanning your ticket, they just jam you with an EpiPen going in.
Be like, all right, ticket, all right, EpiPen, you have both, great.
Here's your peanut, your singular peanut.
All right, now everybody, there was one minor league team that's like, all right, we're gonna give everybody bubble wrap, and we're all gonna pop it at once. All right, everybody, take your peanut, get your EpiPen.
That'd be awesome. Has that been a thing? That needs to be a thing. I would love that. Just like in the 7th inning, you do the stretch, and then, okay, everyone, crinkle your bubble wrap throughout the stadium.
A minor league team did that a while ago. It was really cool.
That's awesome. This is such a stupid tangent, but I enjoyed that. Anyway, we have 2 series we need to predict. Sam, if you go to Kauffman Stadium next Monday, they're doing a peanut-free day. That's what it is. Yep.
Well, I don't. What?
That's the promotion. A promotion on their calendar. It's a peanut-free day, and it is actually for people with peanut allergies.
Okay. So
We're gonna get the
no
National
Snoopy,
Association
no
of Peanut Allergy
Linus,
people
no.
against us.
I'm sorry, what was that, Dan?
We're gonna get the National Association of Peanut Allergy people against us or something for doing this segment. This
You know what? Bring it on. I don't fear you and your lobbying peanut allergy awareness.
All you have to do
people.
is bring a jar of peanut butter and you'll win.
Just throw it at them like a snowball.
I can't think of a single menu item, and I've been to Kauffman Stadium probably over 100 times in my life. I can't think of a single thing outside of peanuts that have peanuts. Are they just
Right.
not selling peanuts that day?
yeah.
So, well, I would make it into a joke. So like during the seventh inning stretch when they sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," it's like buy me some cotton candy and Cracker Jack. Like just really like dub it in, just like really stupid.
Maybe
or
they
like
use peanut oil for like fries or chicken
For
tenders or
oil,
something.
yeah.
Maybe.
But a lot of people, Chick-fil-A does that. A lot of people use soybean. They've gone away from that. Basically, most of the industry has gone away for peanut, unless it's like in specific dishes or like, obviously like Chinese Thai. They still have those. But anyway, wow, we're really continuing this tangent. Let's
Don't
try
eat
that.
the peanut oil. It's poison.
Use beef tallow.
Anyway, Lee, we have the Twins and Guardians, and then the Royals and Chicago, or Royals and Detroit. It's a 4-game series for each. I didn't think I'd be on, so I put my guess in already. But Lee, well, who do you have for the Twins and the Guardians?
Give me I don't know, man.
Dan, who do you have for the Twins? And oh, sorry, were you skipping, or did I interrupt you?
You kind of interrupted me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said I thought you were about to say give me a minute. So I'm sorry. I take that back.
Give me a split. I want to say Guardians 3 out of 4, but I feel like there's going to be some bullshit that happens in the Twins' favor for once. It's going to be, I don't know, I feel like it's going to be a really weird series.
I do like how there has to be bullshit for the Twins to just do a split, which it's not inaccurate. It really isn't. Dan, do you believe in the bullshit?
Question to me is, do you believe more in Minnesota's offense or the Guardians pitching staff? I personally believe more in the Guardians pitching staff. We're gonna go Guardians 3 of 4.
Sam.
Well, I've been going out on a limb this whole season, and much like the Royals, I have nothing to lose. So, give me the Twins to win 3 out of 4.
Yeah. Not for nothing. This series might determine if the Twins buy or sell at the deadline. They just lost a series in Chicago. They play the Rays, I think. They play the Rays, the Mariners, and the Athletics, I think, for the rest of their series. It's not going to be a bigger series for Minnesota, I think, than this week. So, Lee, Kansas City at Detroit.
So it's going to be 4 games, and it's going to be at Detroit. Mm-hmm. Between now and the trade deadline, Tigers play the Cubs, the Royals, the Orioles, and the A's. The Tigers have more to lose here. They're going to be playing like it. They have the better pitching. They have an offense that will punish the staff. Give me the Tigers 3 out of 4.
Dan.
In the last 30 days, the Detroit Tigers have the best expected ERA in baseball. In the last 30 days, the Kansas City Royals have the worst expected ERA in baseball. The Tigers are going to sweep the Royals and really make it difficult to decide what happens at the trade deadline.
All right. Sam.
Why do you have to add that last bit in? You didn't need to say that.
Because it's true.
It is true.
Well, Dan, never tell me the odds. I think the Tigers are going to win 3 out of 4 against the Royals, but I have a bold prediction to go along with this series. The game in this series that the Royals win will be a game started by Tarek Skubal, and the Royals are going to absolutely destroy Tarek Skubal in that one game, of this series. Similar to what happened with Sanchez during the Skubal. Yep, fake fan, everybody.
Yeah, I'm not pretending I can spell. We all know I suck at spelling. Let's not pretend.
That's the funny thing. It's not even that bold of a prediction because Royals tend to hit school better than average, comparatively. But also, you're really gonna tank his trade value like that? Come on, that's so right before the deadline. That's so mean.
Well, he's gonna get. It's not gonna. No one's gonna care at that point.
I know. I'm being facetious.
You think any of the opposing GMs are gonna subject themselves to watching a Royals Tigers baseball game?
Well, they have Tarek Skubal on the mound. They need to check out their new asset.
I do like that thought experiment. It's like, man, we were about to give them 2 top 100 prospects, but Bobby Witt took them deep 3 times, and I just don't think we can do it anymore.
That's been my bit for the past month is how's this going to affect his trade value? It's like, and then, he does well. I'm like, thank you, Tarek. You're for helping your trade value. What if he does poorly? And I'm like, God damn it. You need to do better than this. We need the Dodgers' top prospects.
Okay, I'll just go into the standings because it's been a minute since we updated this. So Sam is 8, so he does need to take some swings to get caught up. Dan and Lee are in 3rd with 9. I have 10, and then Ty has 12. I did ask for his predictions. He has until basically the series start to get it in. I'm going to guess he's really unpredictable. I don't know what he's going to predict. I would have assumed like the Guardians and probably the Tigers, but he zigs when I think he's going to zag. So I truly don't know.
Well, it's working out for him.
I'm about to say it is. He also is smart enough to look at matchups ahead of time and then do predictions, which is much more than I do when I make my predictions. So it is what it is. Anyway, I think with that, we will turn it off. We will have a midweek episode, I think on probably the first half of the week, but it depends on Ty, who again is in the process of moving, can basically free out some time to talk about the White Sox. So I would expect that sooner than later, but who really knows? If not, we'll see you guys next weekend sometime.